Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is an entitled People Story. I've lived on my 5 acres of land in the countryside for over 20 years now. When I first moved out here, it was just me and a few scattered neighbors around the area. We all kept to ourselves for the most part, just giving a friendly wave if we happened to pass each other on the dirt road. It was quiet and peaceful, exactly what I had been looking for. About 10 years ago, a housing development sprang up not too far from my property. It didn't really bother me at first. I actually thought it would be nice to have a few more folks around. Maybe I could make some new friends with the same love for the rural life as me. Boy, was I wrong. As soon as people started moving into that fancy new neighborhood, they formed themselves a homeowners association. I guess that's pretty common in suburban areas, but out here in the sticks it was unheard of. And it didn't take long for them to start making trouble for us old-timers. They would drive around in their little homeowners association's cars, snooping and poking around everyone's property. If your grass was half an inch too tall, or you had too many old cars up on blocks in your front yard, they'd slap you with a fine. It was a real nuisance. Luckily, my place was set pretty far back from the road, so they mostly left me alone. The few times they did venture down my driveway to stick their noses where they didn't belong, my trusty hound Rufus soon sent them running. I always gave that dog a few extra biscuits on homeowners association's inspection days. Anyway, about a month ago I started noticing some surveyor equipment set up on the edge of my land. I asked around and found out the homeowners associations was planning to annex my property so they could expand the neighborhood. Well, I wasn't about to let that happen. I stormed right into one of their meetings and gave that homeowners association's president, Karen, a piece of my mind. Now you listen here, I told her right to her face. I don't want anything to do with y'all's homeowners association's nonsense. My family has owned this land free and clear for over 50 years now. Y'all ain't annexing a single inch of it, you hear me? Karen got all huffy, claiming it was in the best interest of the neighborhood to expand. She droned on about property values this and community standards that. I didn't budge. I don't care what you have to say, I told her. Just keep your stuck-up noses off my land from now on. I thought I had made myself clear as crystal that day, but some folks just don't understand the meaning of no. About 2 weeks later, I headed into town to pick up some feed for the chickens. When I got back home and turned down my long driveway, I couldn't believe my eyes. Sitting right there in front of my house was a big tow truck, and hooked up behind it was my F-150. I jumped out of my vehicle and stormed over to the tow truck driver. He was a scrawny little guy who seemed surprised to see me. I demanded to know what in tarnation he thought he was doing with my truck. Sorry, mister, I'm just following orders. The homeowners association said all vehicles parked on this property were illegally parked and needed to be towed. Now you listen here, I said, poking my finger into his chest. This is my land, and I'll park whatever I dang well please on it. You tell that homeowners associations they better keep their thieving hands off my property or they'll regret it. The poor guy threw his hands up and insisted he was only doing his job. I decided he was probably telling the truth, so I laid off and let him get back in his truck and drive off. But don't you worry, I wasn't about to let this go. I jumped in my other vehicle and sped down to the homeowners association's office, madder than a bull seeing red. I threw open the door so hard it banged against the wall, which finally got the attention of Karen sitting smugly at her desk. What in blazes do you think you're doing sending a tow truck to steal my vehicle right out of my own driveway? I shouted. Karen leaned back in her chair, examining her nails indifferently. Sir, you were informed that you are not a member of this homeowners association's. Therefore, parking on this annexed land is prohibited. The hell it is, I yelled back at her. I done told you people I want nothing to do with your two-bit homeowners associations. And you sure as shooting have no right to annex my family's land that we've lived on for generations. Karen sighed dramatically. Sir, according to our surveys, your property is well within the boundaries of our jurisdiction. Now, if you'd like to calmly discuss filling out an application to join the homeowners associations, I'm sure we can resolve all this confusion. The only thing that's going to get resolved is you giving me back my truck and staying the hell off my land from now on. I growled at her. She smiled smugly. I'm afraid that's not possible. Your vehicle is being held in our impound lot as collateral for the fines you've incurred. As for your land, our expansion plans will move forward on schedule. I had to stop myself from reaching across that desk and throttling her scrawny little neck. This back and forth wasn't getting us anywhere. I decided right then and there it was time to let the law sort this out. You listen to me good, I said, pointing right in her smug face. I'm getting my lawyer involved first thing tomorrow. And you'd better believe I'll be suing you, this whole crooked homeowners associations, and every single board member for everything you've got. We'll just see who really owns that land after a judge takes a look at my deed next to your phony surveys. You're gonna regret the day you trespassed on my property and stole my vehicle. I'm gonna take this whole dang homeowners associations for every last cent you've got." With that, I turned and stormed out before I did something I'd regret. The very next morning, I met with the best real estate attorney in the county. After hearing my story and reviewing my land deed, he agreed the homeowners associations was in the wrong. He filed a lawsuit that same day against the homeowners associations for illegal trespassing and unlawful seizure of my vehicle. We had to set a court date a few weeks out. In the meantime, I had to go through the hassle of renting a car since my truck was still being held hostage in the homeowners association's impound lot. But finally, we had our day in court. My lawyer presented our case to the judge, showing my deed and title to the land. The homeowners association's president tried to counter with their so-called surveys, proving the land fell under their jurisdiction now. But it only took the judge about 10 minutes to review everything before he ruled fully in my favor. He declared the homeowners associations had grossly overstepped their bounds by falsely claiming my family's land. He deemed their so-called surveys worthless compared to my deed, and he ordered the homeowners associations to immediately release my unlawfully seized vehicle, free of charge. The justice didn't stop there, though. I sued the homeowners associations for damages to reimburse the rental car fees and emotional distress this whole ordeal had caused me. After a tearful testimony from yours truly on the witness stand, the judge awarded me a whopping $25,000 in damages, to be paid by the homeowners associations. The look on the homeowners association's president's face when she got handed that bill was priceless. I reckon with that huge payout, the homeowners associations will think twice before harassing folks who don't want anything to do with them ever again. As for me, I finally got my old truck back, safe and sound. Old Rufus has been getting extra treats again too for keeping those homeowners associations busybodies far away from here. And I even used some of that settlement money to put up a nice brand new barbed wire fence all around the perimeter of my land, with big old no trespassing signs facing out. Let's see if those homeowners associations folks bother me again anytime soon. The next one is a pro-revenge story. Years ago, my mother and I had just moved to a new dog-friendly apartment complex. We had 2 dogs, one was a Bichon Shih Tzu and the other is a Terrier Poodle mix. Because of them, we were excited for the community dog park right next to our building. Also to note, our HOA building was filled with dog owners, each with dogs ranging from small to huge. Our apartment was on the first floor in the back of the building, all the way in the corner. It was a nice private area for us with how the apartments were situated. Since one of our dogs is a terrier, he can be a bit barky when we are not home, though when we are home, we have a clicker to get his attention, which he has been trained to stop barking and come to whoever has the clicker. Due to our work hours, I was usually home in the morning and Mom was home in the afternoon, leaving him alone for a few hours during the day. After a month of moving to our new apartment, we received a note on our door. It was from one of our neighbors. It stated, "Dear neighbor, I understand that you are new to this complex, but it is rude to allow your dog to bark. It is ruining my sleep before I go to work, and my job is extremely important. I don't care how you do it, but shut your dog up." My mom turned in the note right away to the leasing office as she wasn't sure what to do with it. That is when the office told us not to worry because he had done this to every dog owner in the building. They did ask us to see if we can find ways to calm him down when we were not home. So we did. We found out the kids of the neighborhood like playing with the power station outside our apartment, and that is who he had been barking at. So we closed off that area for him when we went out and no one was home. We started playing calming music as a way to help as well. Another week goes by, and this time we hear a knock at the door. We go outside, and we meet our angry neighbor. He explains that our dog has kept him up every day and woke him up with his hours of barking. Both of us had been home that day, and our dog had been a good boy and had not had excessive barking. I still remember what he had told us when I explained that. "I know what I heard. If you can't control your dog, then I am going to call animal control and have them both taken from you. I did it before and have no problem getting rid of your dogs too. Then I'll get you kicked out for not following your lease, and I can do that because I am very rich and the apartment needs my money. So do something to shut your dogs up or else." After that, and my mom apologizing for what had happened, we went back in. A few moments later, I walked out to get the mail and discovered from another neighbor that he had gone to 3 other apartments and made similar threats. After some convincing, my mom told the apartment what had happened. We were told not to worry, and if he did that again, to please contact them. We also found out that the apartment had offered him an apartment away from the dogs, but he had declined since the dogs were the problem, and not him. However, what he had done, my mom began to show signs of anxiety and bought a lemon spray bark collar for our dog. While I didn't like this idea, it had put her at ease to go outside our apartment. We did make sure to only put it on him when we both were not home. A month went by peacefully, then once again we get a knock on our door. This time it was animal control. They had gotten an anonymous report of a dog being abused and neglected in our home. They explained that someone has said that our dogs were barking because of neglect. My mom invited the AC lady inside and explained the situation. We showed her everything we could to prevent our dogs from being taken away. The nice lady noticed how playful and happy our dogs were and figured it was another false call. She explained that they had gotten a few of those from an anonymous concerned neighbor for other apartments in this building. The AC lady left, telling us that if they are threatening again, to try and get it on record. This event had turned my mom into a paranoid person who became afraid to leave the house, thinking that if she did, then she would lose her pups. Normally I am the calmest person in my family, never really letting anyone get to me. But this neighbor had did this to hurt us, so I did my research and discovered a few things that could legally help us. With new information on certain laws and leasing terms, I formed a plan. During a weekend that my mom was visiting my aunt in a different state, I began my plan. I started it by printing out a few things and then sat outside with my phone and a speaker. I began to play a video of a dog barking really loud. I had figured out which apartment was his thanks to a few neighbors who also were tired of being harassed. I sat there looking across the courtyard to where his apartment was. I waited with a huge smile on my face, and as I hoped for, he stormed out and headed over to where I was. I turned off my video and turned on my recorder without him noticing. His face is red with anger as he looks at me sitting there with a smile. "I'm sorry, can I help you?" I ask him. "Duck you. I told you what I will do to your family if you didn't stop your dumbass mutt from ruining my sleep. Now I'm going to get them taken from you and get you kicked out for not doing as I said. I gave you a ducking chance. I hope when they take your dogs that they are killed and you and your mom live inside a cardboard box." I give him a fake oh dear look and say, "So you are saying that I am not allowed to make loud noises, including my dogs barking between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 p.m., and that I went against the law by doing so?" "You know you did." "And you're telling me this from my porch? At 2 p.m. in the afternoon. This won't be your porch once I tell the leasing office." "Oh noes, that is a very serious threat for my dogs and my family, isn't it?" "Duck, yes it is." I give him a huge smile and turn off my recorder from my phone. The neighbor is confused now, and I ask him to have a seat. I have a few things to show him. I pull out my papers and hand him the first one. It was the county's noise ordinance laws. In our county, a dog's bark was considered the same amount of sound as a loud appliance, so they can bark between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. Before he could talk, I pull out another paper. This one states that it is against the leasing terms to threaten another neighbor, and after one warning that the apartment complex had the right to revolt their lease. He looks at me with an understanding of what he had done now. I silence him and pull out one last paper. This one was another leasing term I had found. This face, after reading this one, had made him turn white. This last one talked about how it was a complete violation of leasing terms to go onto another renter's property and threaten them or their property. This includes the renter's outdoor area. Those found guilty of this violation will have their lease revoked immediately and be forced to leave the apartment within a set time. The scared look on his face was priceless as I silently got up and walked back into my apartment. After he finally left, I called my leasing office and explained what had just happened and agreed to email the recording to them right away. A week later, my mom came home with some news that she had learned from the leasing office. The man had been evicted from his apartment and would be leaving later that week. I found out that my actions had caused the other dog owners of the building to come forward and admit what he had been doing to all of them. After that, there was never another complaint, and I threw away the lemon spray collar. My mom still gets anxiety attacks once in a while, but has been getting help to ease those worries. As for me, I don't regret what I did. I just feel bad that it had to come to this. The next one is a petty revenge story. My girlfriend is currently being her adorable self and baking in the kitchen. She's doing her thing with The Hangover on in the background and her favorite giant bear hoodie on. I think today she's using the Just Hood lemon bar recipe. If you don't know it, then check it out. Bloody delicious. Reminded me of this from a few years ago. My girlfriend and I worked for the same company in different areas on different floors. This was pre-COVID. My girlfriend loves baking and sharing more than eating the stuff herself. Also big news for those who have read my previous posts. My girlfriend has moved in. Man, I am ecstatic. My girlfriend would bring in her goods maybe 3 times a week. The head of her department, Matt, got a little tin and made a little sign. Something like, "If you enjoyed a treat, please leave a contribution so GF can keep baking." Then there was Karen. I go down to my girlfriend's floor one day to talk to someone, and the vibe is off. My girlfriend looks kinda withdrawn. People are buzzing. Matt looks furious. The treats are on Matt's desk. Turns out someone emptied the contribution tin and left a note saying the last few baked goods weren't up to par, so they'd emptied the tin as a form of refund for past contributions. My girlfriend had a hard night. Thought about baking something gross as revenge, got upset thinking maybe her baking really is crap, considered stopping altogether. I told her to consider stopping giving them away for free. Next day I'm called into a meeting, most of upper management, client services, etc. We're talking about the baking and the note, and people were pissed. I'd love to say it was because my girlfriend was universally adored, as she should be, but it was mostly the bullying and how the baked goods were free for our company, but great for our morale. Matt spoke to my girlfriend and basically said if she wanted to keep baking, he'd love it. And a few colleagues had decorated an empty desk on the 3rd floor specifically for people to share their baked goods. Under a camera, near my team. My girlfriend is a professional, but man, she almost cracked when she saw the table. I'll have to try to find a picture. The tin was replaced with a tiny padlock. Next time Karen appeared for a treat, a woman from my team jumped up and stopped her, telling her that they weren't up to par, and basically told her to screw off. More people started baking, and Matt would share out the contributions. A picture of the table full of amazing goodies even made it to our website for a while. Karen ended up putting in a complaint about her entire floor. Apparently, every time she tried leading a training session, people started telling her that her teachings weren't up to par. She tried smoothing it over, not by apologizing, but by bringing in a tray of cheap donuts with a stupid sign saying that no contribution was needed. These were actually good and free. Those donuts had exactly 2 taken, one by Karen and the other returned with 1 bite missing and a note that said, "Not up to par." Matt even called their next team outing, "Who's up to party?" Apparently, Karen started complaining that she was trying to inspire my girlfriend to do better, that buying her own treats was way more expensive, and she needed the little treat to keep going some days. That now more people were baking, so really she'd inspired them. That she didn't know how to get past my team, who she couldn't insult and historically sucked up to. Karen tried demanding the snacks move back downstairs, but was told the note was deemed bullying and the downstairs canteen without cameras wasn't up to par. This went on until COVID hit. Forget Karen, and my girlfriend's baking is the best. The next one is a malicious compliance story. Once upon a time, I was working a seasonal retail job at a craft store chain. It is important to note that for the purposes of their sales, lighted tree toppers, lighted decorations, string lights, etc., were all separate categories. On this fateful day, lighted tree toppers were on sale for 30% off. The rest of the lighted decor on that aisle was not. The sales were very clearly marked, and the sections designated clearly as well as the category printed on the package itself. It is even listed in the email that Karen was using to present her coupon. Karen approaches my register with her tree topper. The register recognizes the discounts and applies them automatically in most instances, this being no exception. The 30% applies itself. Your total will be $18.90. Karen then presents her 20% off coupon. "I'm sorry, ma'am, this coupon is not applicable to sale items." "Those aren't on sale. The lights aren't on sale this week." I show the copy of our sale bulletin on my counter. "I apologize for the confusion, ma'am. This actually falls under the tree topper category. You'll see here it's 30% off. I won't be able to apply the coupon, but you will be getting the already discounted sale price." "I am telling you I don't want any sale. You are going to take my coupon." I should probably mention she was in at least once weekly, yelled about sales and coupons every single time, and then declared she was never coming back, only to be back the following week to do the same. "Ma'am, I would have to manually override the sale price and apply the coupon manually as well." "Then do it. I'm telling you it is not on sale and I am using my coupon or I am reporting you." "Yes, ma'am, if you insist." I got visual confirmation from my supervisor in the way of a hand signal we used to mean, "Go ahead." She was not too happy when I did exactly as she demanded, and her total came to $21.60. "You're stealing from me. I demand to speak to a manager. I'm never coming back here again." My shift supervisor had been on the next register over the whole time to combat the afternoon rush. That's how she managed to give the visual approval in the moment. She took great joy herself in telling Karen, You have the exact discounted price you demanded. You can pay it or leave. Oh, you're never coming back? Do you promise? Karen paid her $21.60 with her head hung. She was back next week. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.